morning, everyone. So this is a lesson 2 of our mindfulness lessons at home, and today we're going to focus on response versus reaction, what that is, and then also we're going to learn about anchor breath. So our tummy time exercise will be anchor breath, but our discussion topic will be response versus reaction. So first, a quote. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space lies our power and our freedom to choose our response. In our response lies our own growth and freedom. So this is a quote by Viktor Frankl and found in Man's Search for Meaning. So what do you think this quote means? So between stimulus and response, right? So stimulus would be if someone yells at you, shouts at you, hits you, cuts you off in traffic, stomps on your foot in the metro, whatever it is, something that happens, right? And then your response is how you respond to that thing, right? A lot of times, stimulus, reaction, they're glued together, and I get that. What mindfulness is we're working, there is a tiny space, no matter how small, between stimulus and reaction. But sometimes it's very, very tiny. So you can see a little bit of light. We're trying to make that be a little bit more of a space between that. So right now, if you're comfortable, find your mindful position, sitting up straight. Close your eyes if you feel so. And in your mind, I just want you to imagine yourself normal day to day, and imagine a stimulus. So imagine someone cuts you off, or someone yells at you, someone hits you, something in your day-to-day that has happened. And see it happen. See that other person, their anger, their response. And then notice how you respond. What do you normally do? Do you yell? Do you cry? Do you run away? Do you say something later you regret? So just notice. Okay, so now, if your eyes are still closed, I still want you picturing this in your mind. I want you to pause the frame, pause the video, rewind it back to the beginning. And now rewatch again that person, that stimulus that happens, something that happens. And then this time, when that stimulus happens to you, I want you to pause the frame, and just take a moment, kind of like imagine now you're observing yourself, you're observing this from up above, and just notice where in your own body you feel that anger. Is it a lump in your throat? Is it your shoulders get tense? Do your fists clench? Is your stomach in knots? Does your heart rate accelerate? Does your face get flush? Just take a moment and observe the physical symptoms of anger in your body. Don't judge it, just notice it. And also notice the thoughts in your head. The instant thoughts is like, are they of hatred? Are they hurt? Are you disappointed? Do you want revenge? Just notice those thoughts. Notice the sensations in your body. Okay, so that, you can open your eyes now, that's the space we're trying to create. It's not easy, I know, when it actually happens right away. I'm not perfect. For me, I'm pretty good with people not reacting instantly. Not perfect, but a lot of technology is actually my stimulus that like makes my anger and frustration explode. And so I'm working on that personally. I think I don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but technology don't feel like has feelings, so I react in ways that I'm not 100% proud of. So that's my personal goal still. But taking this time to notice, to just be aware of your emotions, that gives you power. Because a lot of the times when something happens, we react, and we don't have control over that. We don't have power. It's just how our body is, and I get that, and I know that. You're not alone. That's how we all are. That's how our brains are wired. So what we're trying to do is to train our brains to give ourselves space, to just pause when something happens, to just be like, oh, I'm really angry right now. Yep, can see, my fists are tense, like my body's tense, my face is red, like, yep, okay, angry. Just noting that, labeling it, will give you power of how you respond. If you can just be like, oh, Sam, you're angry, how are you going to respond to this? If you still choose to respond with words that maybe your teachers wouldn't appreciate, or if you still choose to respond with fists or violence, I'm not a fan of that, but then it's at least your choice, right? We're trying to give you this space between. Mindfulness is not going to change your choice, like how you choose to change. What mindfulness is going to do is just give you the space to give you the option to choose. That's what we're going for with this. It's just give you power over that, okay? So I'm going to read a poem now. This poem I love. It's a really good illustration of how long it can take to create the space. It's not an easy process, so I know it, many people know it, but it's possible with small steps, okay? So it's called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters by Portia Nelson, and I'll try to copy and paste the text in underneath the video if you want to read along, if that's helpful for you, or read later. Act 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Act 2. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend that I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes time to get out. Act 3. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it's there. I still fall. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Act 4. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Act 5. I walk down another street. So this poem beautifully illustrates. So let's see. For me, I can get anxiety. It's been in my life for a long time. So this last little Act 3, Act 4, Act 5. So example, in Act 2, like even I fall into it, takes time to get out. Act 3, this last week, I had a panic attack, anxiety attack with just, what's happening in life. And so I feel like I was more in Act 3 at that point. I knew what was about to probably put me in a panic attack and an anxiety attack, but I still fell. It's a habit. I've gotten a lot better in past to not fall into it, but it still happens sometimes. But at least that time, I knew I was in a panic attack. I knew what was happening. I knew I fell for reading all the stuff that I knew was going to get me there on social media. And so I was able to get out a lot faster. Whereas before, something like that could spiral me for a day, 2 days. And then Act 4 would be, I walk down the street, there's a deep hole in the sidewalk, I walk around it. I avoid the social media posts and those people that I know will spiral me. Act 5, I just turn off my phone for a day now. So that's kind of a real life example of what that poem means for me. So our tummy time activity today is going to be called anchor breath. So this is a very simple technique. Well, simple, but again, tummy time. It's going to feel awkward when we're first learning. So breath is neutral. People don't love it or hate it. We breathe, I think, 20,000 times a day. It's just there. We can always find it. something that we can always have whenever we remember it. So I want you right now to just sit up straight and take a breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, now I invite you to close your eyes. Breathe in, breathe out. With your eyes closed, were you able to maybe notice it more? Maybe not. Now, I want you to close your eyes and just take 3 breaths normally, however you normally do. Okay. Now, I want you to take 3 breaths. We're going to take them together this time. First, on your belly, hands on your belly, and breathe in. Breathe out. Do you notice how your belly goes out and in? Now your hands on your chest. Breathe in. Breathe out. Notice how your chest rises and falls. And third one, hands just a bit in front of your nose. Breathing in. Breathing out. And you notice maybe the warmth or cold air on your fingertips. So these are 3 common anchor spots where you notice your breath, like an anchor to a boat, right? If you're rocking at sea, throw an anchor over. It'll hopefully help you rock a little less, keep you steady. So finding your breath wherever works for you is your anchor spot. I want you to try around in the next few days of what works best for you, but find for yourself where your anchor is, what helps you notice your breath the most, okay? So right now, try one of them. Just choose one of those 3. You don't always have to have your hands in front of your face. You can kind of focus your attention to your nostrils. Your upper lip is also a way to use your nostrils as your anchor spot. That's usually what I do. So just find your anchor spot, whatever works for you. We're going to gently close our eyes, and we're going to have 30 seconds to just be with your anchor spot. Notice your breath. Really notice the rise and fall, or the in and out, whatever works for you. And I'll ring the bell when we're done. You can open your eyes. Okay, so that was 30 seconds. I know 30 seconds can feel like a really long time right now. I get that. But again, tummy time. It's gonna feel weird, it's gonna feel awkward, but these are the small steps that we need to start taking now in order to give ourselves that space. So your challenge over the next few days is to just notice your breath. Just like last week, you noticed your emotions, hopefully, and you noticed sounds. This week, I want you to just take a few breaths whenever you think about it. If you just notice, like, oh yeah, breaths. Just breathe in, breathe out, and see if you remember. See if you recognize it, how often you think about it. So down below, I'm going to have questions for your journal if you would like to keep a journal on this. So for that, I love you all. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week.